So let's have a look at the next stage in the smart saving solution. Because if we want to get to financial freedom as quickly as possible, one of the ways that we can do that is to minimise tax. If we pay as little tax as possible, clearly within the legal boundaries, we don't want, tax evasion is illegal. We're not talking about tax evasion. We're talking about minimising the tax through sensible planning. Planning that the government's put out there for you to use. So if we can minimise tax, again, we can get more compound growth and we can get you to financial freedom much more quickly. So what we're talking about here is the tax wrappers that we can protect your money within. So let's play a quick game. I'm going to give you some tax wrappers and I want you to see if you know what they are. So the first tax wrapper, nice and straightforward. You can put this money in before you pay any tax. So it's the only way you can pay yourself first. So when you get paid your salary, instead of the taxman taking his slice, you can put money straight into this account without any tax removed. As and when you get to 55 or later, you can take 25% out as tax-free, and the remaining 75% you can take out as quickly or as slowly as you want, but you do have to pay income tax on that money. Do you know what that is? Well, of course, it's a pension. And that is the reason why the pension is the best and most tax-efficient way to save for your later life. Because you're not paying any tax up front. So you've got much more money in your account. If you're a higher rate taxpayer, it only costs you £60 to get a £100 investment. That's a massive increase in your money before it's even started to grow. Then, of course, you've got the compound growth, not just on your money, but on the money that you would have ordinarily paid in tax. So by the time you get to retirement, you've had the benefit of way more money growing. And that allows you to get to financial freedom much, much, much more quickly. So here's the next one. So this one, you do have to pay the tax up front, but when you come to take the money out, it's tax-free. So what would this be? Well, of course, this would be the ISA. The ISA, you pay the tax up front, but when you take the money out, there's no further tax to pay. This is a really valuable allowance, $20,000 each per annum at the moment. It's a really valuable allowance. Probably not quite as valuable as the pension allowance. I would say the pension allowance is better than the ISA allowance, but with the ISA, you've got the flexibility of accessing the money before 55 if you need to. Actually having a good foundation in both is best, because what it means is you can draw money out of your pension up to certain thresholds, like for example, the basic rate threshold, and then you can take money out of the ISA to top that up. So we've got clients that are drawing over £100,000 a year in retirement and they're paying zero tax because we utilise the right tax wrappers to help them. So let's have a look at the third wrapper. Now we're starting to get a little bit more tricky. This one, you do pay the tax up front, you can draw an income out, but it's deferred until either you die or until you encash the account. This is a bit more tricky, so this is an offshore bond. It's a good alternative for where people have filled up their pensions, filled up their ISAs, and they've got other capital that they want to invest, and particularly where they only want to draw out an income later on, so when they're retired and they've got lower earnings. Final one, again, even more tricky. This time, you get a tax-free claim when you invested into it. So similar to a pension, you only have to leave the money in there for around about 5 years. So you're not restricted to getting access to it at 55. And when you take the money out, it's tax-free. And in addition to that, not only that, sometimes they can defer capital gains tax, they can minimise inheritance tax. So this one's a more tricky one, but these are actually a group of investments. They're venture capital trusts, enterprise investment schemes, and seed enterprise investment schemes. Much higher risk investments, but a fantastic alternative to pensions if you've fully used up your allowance. Very complicated. You definitely need to get advice on looking at these types of investments, but they are a brilliant tool for the right situation.